Management 12A, business law. What do you all want to get out of this class? Can I ask you? Anybody?
It's a prerequisite for my business degree.
Cool. So you're looking to transfer into business. Perfect. I have had students come back and transfer to Cal State Fullerton and say, your class helped me succeed at Fullerton. So there's stuff in here that will help you. I'm sure of it. Anybody else want to share?
I'm trying to continue with my degree in marketing and soon transfer to Cal State.
Awesome. Most of you, I would imagine, would be transferring, learn concepts you apply in your everyday life. Thanks, Chelsea. I can do that too. Let me give you a little bit of information about me, not because I love talking about myself, but I want you to know where I'm coming from. What my experiences were coming into business and coming out of business in some ways, coming into teaching. We'll also look tonight at some of the requirements that you have for the class. I want to give you a very, very clear picture so that when you leave tonight, you know exactly how to succeed in this class, exactly what you're responsible for. And I'm a big person. Expectations are big for me. When I go into a situation, I want to know what's expected of me so that if I need to do a good job, I want to do a good job, I know what to do, right? So you will leave tonight with very clear expectations on what you need to do for this class, what the timelines look like. Business concepts and develop your career. Love it. So just in general, we're going to be looking in this class at like theory, and we're using a book, right? So you're reading through authors. In teaching this class for the last 6 years at IBC, we've had like 4 books, which is a huge pain in the butt for a teacher. Because like every year, sometimes back-to-back semesters, we had to change books. The great thing about the book that we're using right now is it does a pretty good job, and it's actually pretty readable. I've also learned that business law across the board is usually taught by, and usually the books are written by, lawyers, not business people. It's kind of an interesting separation because, so I myself am not a lawyer, right? We're learning about legal concepts, but some teachers will take this class and actually teach it like a law class. Contrary to that, I look at this, it's a business class. Sometimes it's required in your business program. You're taking it so you can transfer. I want you to walk out of this class with functional business knowledge. Yeah, the law is there. Of course, we all have to follow the law, right? But at the end of the day, we're business people. We're not lawyers. So I don't have you memorize cases. I don't have you do lawyer-like stuff. I will in different times, hopefully train you on when you can recognize to hire a lawyer, because we all need lawyers at different times. Not that you have to pretend to be a lawyer to find out your own information. Because for me as a business person coming from business, I need to know how to do business, and I need to know how to do my trade, my skill, whatever I'm selling, right? So knowing when you need a lawyer, or maybe how to avoid the need for a lawyer, you will be getting that out of this class. So I try to make it as practical as possible. You're reading the book, you're getting theory and definitions, you'll read about some cases, which are interesting. But in my lectures, I will be giving you real life perspective on stuff. I'll be asking you questions about real life scenarios, not about looking up case law, not about pretending to be a lawyer. Otherwise, you would be going into a law program, probably poli-sci student or sociology or something, right? So a little bit of information on me. Again, just so you can understand where I'm coming from. Out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I landed at Long Beach City College for 2 years, where I also didn't know what I wanted to do. But I had some of my best teachers there. And I think ultimately that's why I ended up teaching at a community college, because I had so much respect for those teachers. Was able to transfer to a private university, still paying off some of those loans. I had to work all the way through college. I'm a first-year college student. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I grew up, my dad was a meat cutter his whole life until he retired, and my mom just had kind of odds and ends jobs and was able to stay at home with some of us. I'm the youngest. So was able to get through college, and I say that purposely to get through. I jumped into real estate And I oversee the real estate program here at IBC in addition to teaching business. So going into real estate was not like a dream job for me, but it was a long-term plan because I wanted to invest in real estate. So my brother-in-law convinced me to get a license. And in 2002, I got my license, started working, had some really, really good years, had some really, really hard years in that I worked 9 years in full-time real estate. My first self-employment, though, was at the age of 18. I made balloon animals and hats at parties and TGI Fridays and restaurants. And for the hour, I made pretty decent money. Although my dad would get concerned when he'd come home from a work and an overtime shift and I'd be counting out stacks of ones on my bed. He's like, what in the world are you doing? Just making balloons, Dad, making balloons. So I had some other jobs going through college, but as well. But being self-employed is really kind of taught me how to survive. And I realized really quick when I was in real estate that I didn't know much about business. My undergraduate, my bachelor's degree was in education, and realized I didn't, funny to say it now, I didn't want to teach back then. Traditional, I guess, in lower grades. Jumped into real estate, realized I didn't know business, was surviving okay, but did not really know what I was doing. And so I decided to go back for my master's in business. And as I was going through the prerequisites to go into business school, I did that at Cal State Fullerton. I started teaching part-time, kind of on a fluke, at nights at Orange Coast College, teaching real estate. And I realized that my day in and day out job 9 to 5 in real estate, I realized kind of quickly that I wasn't feeling fulfilled. Some of those years, again, making great money, but at the end of the day, I was going home and I would rather be teaching 4 hours at night than going into the office in the morning. So something struck inside me saying, you're not enjoying this. Make all the money you want in the world. At the end of the day, if you're not happy with what you're doing every day, it kind of affects you, right? So working during the day, taking my MBA classes 2 nights a week and teaching part-time 2 nights a week. Very crazy, busy schedule. But I realized that I wanted to focus more on higher education. So I left kind of the business world a little bit. I still actually have a little bit of 1099 income. So I've been self-employed since I was 18 in some way or another. So I think part of that kind of entrepreneurial kind of spirit, right, is there. But finished my MBA at Cal State Fullerton, go to work for a 4-year university. So I worked as an administrator in a private nonprofit 4-year, opened up a campus, got to manage people and hire people and lay people off and succeed at some stuff and fail at other stuff, right? And realized that higher education was definitely where I wanted to be. And so was able to actually enter a doctorate program. So completed my doctorate, actually just coming to IBC. Here I am before you now, teaching business law. So it's been a long road. It's great to be able to look back and go, oh my gosh, all those crazy, crazy years, working 2 nights a week, school 2 nights a week, working all day long. I had a teenage daughter at the time too. It was insanity for a couple of years. But looking back, going, oh my gosh, I'm through the other side here. And I can say, and I've never been able to say this before, that I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, right? I love my job. It's going amazing. We have a great campus at IBC. If you haven't experienced it yet, if you're new, the supports that we have at the college are great for you. The staff is amazing. We truly have a great campus, even if you're online. I'll take a quick pause there and just kind of reiterate, we are here to support you. I'm here to support you. If your goal is to get a C in this class just so that you can pass and move on, I want to help you get there. I got D's my entire last semester of college. Like I said, I barely got out. So whatever that goal is for you, if you're managing home and family and work and school, and like, I get it. I don't expect everybody to get an A. I think sometimes when students don't get an A, they feel bad or something. Don't. Unless your goal is to get the highest GPA because you need that for some specific reason. But at the end of the day, when you graduate, and thanks for that. Yeah, the last semester burnout. I was planning a wedding too for me and working during all that time. So I know it's crazy, right? At the end of the day, though, you get there, you get that bachelor's degree. Nobody ever asks you, oh, you could grow bachelor's degree. What was your GPA? Nobody will ask you that. Nobody asks. So it's more about getting to that end goal, right? And maybe that's not your goal. Maybe your goal is to get a certificate at IBC and get a promotion at work. That's awesome too. I have plenty of students that will use these classes to get paid more in school or paid more in your job, separate from any kind of educational. So that's a little bit of information on me. I am here at a community college because I want to teach you. I want to help you. I had teachers at Cal State Fullerton that said, hey, you like working with the students? I was like, yeah. You love teaching students? Yeah. She said, don't work here. Because at the Cal States and the UCs, they pride themselves, one of their goals in their jobs is research and publication to further their discipline, to be discipline experts, truly, right? I had teachers at Cal State Fullerton that only taught one class. All of their other job was researching and writing. And to be honest with you, I had some really, really crappy teachers there. And so I knew to be a great teacher, to focus on your needs as a student, I wanted to be at a community college. So that's why I'm here. I want to help you. So let me give you some information on business law. Told you a little bit about my perspective. I want to give you real life business understanding in this class. We will learn about some law. There are definitions, right? You're going to be learning these concepts and theories. That's a given. But I want you to walk away here with some practical knowledge too. So a lot of times the stuff that I have you do outside of the book is usually more related to real world. So we'll do discussion boards almost every week. We'll do what I call exercises, which is kind of like a real life practical, what do you think of this? And we'll look at the points tonight too. I do not walk through the full syllabus tonight. There's a video in the Canvas shelf for that if you want to go page by page, but I will talk about the grading tonight. And I'll mention several times just the services we have at IBC. If you have anything that comes up along your way that's challenging your learning, please let me know. Or if you don't want to reach out to me, super passive here, but check the website. We have a ton of stuff out there. If you need help for food or medical, or there's all sorts of stuff. Let's go ahead and jump in. Let me show you, I'm going to share screen with you and show you what Canvas is looking like. I know a lot of you have been in there already, looking at some of the discussions already, but let me show you. So again, when you leave tonight, you have a clear expectation of what you need to do. As I'm bringing this up, I'll just mention, if you ever have thoughts of real estate or think that might be interesting for you at some point, or maybe you want to try to make money in that industry, business law does count as an elective for your real estate license. So I have students that will take my Management 12A class and then take 2 additional classes, real estate principles, real estate practice, and then you can actually sit for your state exam in real estate. It's also a certificate at IBC if you're into collecting certificates. All these students, they get out, they're like, I got 12 certificates. Like, what? But if you're having fun learning, it's great. All right, let me show you Canvas. I'm looking at the student view here, so it'll look a little bit more familiar to you. Starting off at the menu on your left over here, super simple. I try to keep this as simple as possible for you so you know exactly what you need to do. Home and syllabus, these 2 links are actually the same. Announcements, if you haven't gotten an announcement from me, you're not getting your emails. Please make sure you're getting your IBC emails. Well, you're here, so you probably got an email from me, but your announcements are in here. I have them sent out to you automatically. Most of you will get those via email. One note about that, one of the cool things about Canvas, I believe, is that you get to control how you get your information. So under account, this looks a little bit different, right? But I think I'm almost positive I think it's notifications. So on your account, when you click on notifications, you get to set up how and when and for what you get these announcements. Get them by text, get them by email, when they happen, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, whatever you want. There's a bunch of options there for you. Double check that. And that way you know you're getting information from the class. But you can come back and look at the announcements that have been sent out here. Before I go there, on this home and syllabus page, again, you click on either of these, takes you to the same place. If you're into seeing everything in one place, here's the course summary. Every assignment for this class is scheduled already. I spend a ton of time before classes start to make sure that stuff is dialed in, so that when we start, there's no confusion. And almost never and this is probably going to sound cocky. I don't mean that, but almost never do I have to come in here and change something. And so I want you to rely on these schedules. And if I made a mistake at some point, you're like, hey, I lost points. Rick, you screwed up. I own that. That won't count against you. Okay. Or if there's some, Canvas is shut down for the day or something, like, I know you can't control that. I can't control that. I'm not unreasonable here. But because I give you so much leniency in the dates of this class, I'm kind of against late work. All right. So basically almost every assignment, I give you a week to do it. And that gives you some freedom, but it also gives you some boundaries, right? So like Sunday midnight, everything for that week is due. And so you have to manage your own time. Hey, you're an adult, right? And I schedule this class and I schedule the assignments to really mimic a little bit of real life. And I'll show you again what that looks like with the points in just a little bit here. But I wanted to show you just a real quick snapshot. Some of you might look at this schedule and feel overwhelmed. And so it's here for you if you want to look at the whole class in one chunk. But most of you, I have a feeling, would probably prefer this modules view. So we've seen home and syllabus. There's my office hours are on there. The Zoom link is on there and my syllabus is on there. Here's the module tabs, which I take week by week. And here's the resources for your week one. Okay. So here's a syllabus review. Again, if you want to go back, I did it this most recent one last semester. And I go page by page through the syllabus. Tonight, I didn't want to do that. I want to kind of give you some tools, some meat to chew on, if you will, so that you get out of here. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to encourage you. The schedule for this class too, because we're a full length semester class, we're doing about a chapter a week. I think there's 1 week where we have a double chapter, but the topics are kind of paired up there. So you can see right here what your responsibilities are in this week one module. Syllabus for you if you want. You're going to be accessing your book. I'll talk about this in a minute. Over here on the left. Lecture. Some people, I've had students tell me that they like to read the book first, get some of the basic theory and definitions and that kind of stuff down, and then watch the lecture. So the lecture, I'm pulling stuff out of the chapter. I'm not using PowerPoints. I'm actually picking topics within that chapter to talk about, and I'm giving you some real life perspective on them. I do a lot of share screen with some note taking. So it's not me just talking at you, if you will. I'm taking notes, which you can watch, which you can mimic and take notes for yourself. You can go back and watch them again or listen to them again. However, whatever type of learner you are or whatever type of time, you have, you've got several tools here to help you out. If you've never used McGraw-Hill Connect, we use the system quite a bit in the School of Business at Irvine Valley. And so if you haven't used it before, there's a how-to on here. There's no points. You don't have to do it. But I've had students start taking the class and they do this smart book, which is basically reading the chapter, but it's on screen. And they think that they've done it and they've read it all, and they come back and they get 0 points for chapter 1 right here. And they say, well, I did it. And I go, well, it says you didn't do it, right? If you've never used this smart book, it might help you to watch this tutorial so you know how to do it. Or if you try it and you're like, oh, I don't get it, come back to this tutorial. It's here for you to use. It's open the whole semester. We are in week 1 already. And so we are jumping into chapter 1. Of course, this is the intro chapter. We're just getting into some of the basic concepts for the book in chapter 1. So not a high stress chapter, but I give you points for it. Okay. This smart book, it's on your time, due by Sunday night. So at some point between now and Sunday night, if you haven't done it already, you're going to go through and you're going to read the book. I'm giving you points to read the book. So I look at business and I think, and I've seen over the years, somebody that shows up and gets their stuff done can be quite successful in business. Honestly. And that might not sound like hard work. I know none of you use Rate My Professors, right? Right. I love one of the things on there because I go back and read them occasionally because I want to hear what students are saying about me. And I want to change if it's not good, right? And I love this one thing, this review, and it's like, Rick's class is easy. All you got to do is do your homework, study, and do okay on the exams, and you can get an A. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Just show up and get your work done, and that's it. So I've taken out of my class a lot of the subjectivity, and maybe that's not real world, but in my class, everybody has the same opportunities in here, and you have a week to get it done. And so again, with that flexibility, we have the boundary of Sunday in essence. But if you show up and you read the chapter, I'm giving you points. If you show up by Sunday and get the quiz done, I'm giving you points. And guess what? The quiz, you can take it over and over again, as many times as you want to get full points. So again, I realize that takes time. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. That was that other student on Rate My Professors. But to show up and get your work done, you have the opportunity here to earn all of these points if you want. Those points, again, I'll come back to them in a minute here. Those points will add up to really help you in the overall class. And so it always happens in the last like third of the class, the student will be like, oh my gosh, I did horrible on exam 1 and exam 2. And my first thing that I look at or I ask is, well, did you get your chapter work done? Did you get your discussion boards done? The stuff that you do week in and week out make a lot of the points for this class. So if you work diligently every week for this semester, but maybe you're not a great test taker and you don't get an A on the test, you can still get an A in this class. If you don't do that work and then you don't do well on the exam, well, don't be surprised. You're not going to get an A, right? I mean, that's kind of real life. You don't show up to work, you're not going to get a paycheck. So chapter 1, reading, smart book. Chapter 1, quiz, unlimited attempts. The week discussion board, this is an opportunity for you as a student to interact with your peers. I usually pull out a topic, not just from the book, but maybe even from the lecture that I've talked about, and we'll ask you your opinion in the discussion. There's a rubric that shows up in there. So I give you a little bit of guidelines, like basically 3 to 4 sentences. I don't want you to write an essay, but I do want you to have a conversation. So in about, 3 solid sentences or maybe 4 sentences, you can probably communicate what your opinion is. And here's the important part, why you have that opinion. I think it's this because that's what I'm looking for, is the because, right? And so there's a little bit of quantity just as a guideline, really, for me to create a rubric. But it's really about, were you able to communicate your perspective through this discussion board? There is no right or wrong answer in these discussion boards. Again, you have every opportunity to earn your 10 points here, so long as you're putting in your time to do that discussion. Notice this is August 25th, week 1, right? That's actually tonight. It's Thursday night. I have you do your initial post in the discussion board. I'll give you a little grace in the first week. Between Thursday and Sunday, I have you focus on responding to other students in the class. And again, if you were to sit down with somebody and say, oh, hey, awesome shirt, and then you stand up and go away, like, that's not a quality conversation. You probably would have no idea what that person is about, right? So in these discussion boards, same kind of thing. I'm looking for some sort of interaction. I don't need you to fluff everybody up like, oh, I loved your opinion. But if you do appreciate someone's opinion, that's great too. But make it more about that, right? Why did you love it? Did they agree with you? Did they disagree with you? Do they have a different perspective? We can have a healthy conversation here and be professional, be appropriate, right? But be able to discuss your opinions. And again, I'll reiterate, on these discussion boards, there is no wrong. So long as you're able to explain yourself, you're in great shape for these points. So again, these add up over the class. Just kind of jumping into week 2, just to give you a really quick overview and see kind of the similarities here. Again, some lecture links in here. So here's a lecture. I think I might have done this one actually. I had recorded some lecture classes before we moved to online. And so it's kind of like a camera on the ceiling idea. But then I do have some mimicked or mirrored notes on here as well. Smart book, again, you're getting points for reading. Discussion board, Thursday of that week. Chapter quiz, that looks familiar too. Here I'll throw in something different called an exercise. Again, the exercise, kind of a 1-page Word doc idea. And the idea with the exercise is taking one of the concepts from the chapter from that week and having you look at it in some real life perspective. Again, in the exercise, there's almost never a wrong answer, so long as you're able to support your answer. And so I do that on purpose because I want you to all to be thinking about this and to have to formulate your own opinion enough to be able to write about it a little bit. Sometimes I'll throw in, hey, find this thing, give me the link, copy paste a link. So the exercises are very, again, I don't want to say easy, but they're simplistic in nature. I give you question 1, answer it. Question 2, answer it. They're not meant to be confusing, all right? But in some ways, I'm forcing you to think about and work with these concepts that we're learning in the chapters. So I'm not going to talk about every week, but again, you'll see the consistent structure that I've built into this class. Again, my goal for you tonight, know exactly what's expected of you, right? So if you're following through and you're looking at each one of these modules and you're getting the work done, you're in great shape. I've mentioned reading the book, taking the quizzes. The book, reading Smart Book, and the quizzes are all in McGraw-Hill Connect. Again, if you haven't used it, it's a pretty user-friendly system. If you say are using a bookstore to buy access code, they also, if you really love to have a hard copy book in hand, the bookstore has like a loose leaf version to try to keep the costs down. Or if you just want to be able to read on screen, which you can do on your computer or a tablet or your phone, right? You can go through the purchase right here through Canvas as well. I think the access, what does it have the price right there? $50, I think. I think it's $50. And they give you that access, at least to the class, if not, maybe a little bit longer through. It could be a couple months more. If you don't have money right now to buy this book, we're all coming from different places, totally respect it. Don't let that stop you from getting started, okay? One priority, get into Canvas. If you haven't done it yet, get in there after, at 8 o'clock, you're gonna get in there and type in your discussion board. Goal 2 for this week is getting into Connect to get that chapter 1 done. If you can't pay for it right now, it's okay. They actually give you, if you need it, a 2 free week kind of intro into this book. So you can get in tonight, register, start reading chapter 1. In 2 weeks, they're going to prompt you to pay. But all the work that you've done will save and it will transfer into Canvas, and you're getting all of your points, pushed into Canvas. You're doing the work. What really worries me about putting off buying the book, for example, like we're talking about here, or putting off a Canvas post, that kind of thing. At the end of this week, the door kind of closes, right? And then you're going to week 2 and you're already starting behind the ball. And so I just really want to encourage you to try to jump into week 1. I know sometimes it feels overwhelming because in this class, I've got this book and that system, and here's my schedule. And then maybe you're taking, if you're transfer students, you're taking, 3, 4, 5 classes or something. Or maybe you're taking 2 classes and you work full time. Like, that's stressful, right? I get it. Do what you can, at least by this weekend. Get into this McGraw-Hill Connect system. You saw how easy that was. The link is right there in Canvas. And like I said, I know a lot of you are already in there kind of conversing in Canvas. So I really appreciated seeing that already. Awesome. So basically, and then, of course, your grades. So I don't know what the grades look like in my test view right here, but, all right. So again, every single assignment for this class is in here already. And so when you're doing those things in Connect, those points will come automatically over into Canvas. If you buy from the bookstore or if you buy a code from somewhere and you log in directly into McGraw-Hill Connect, you will have to connect Canvas and McGraw-Hill together. And again, you can do that through this link. But once you do that connection and you marry the 2 systems for your account, it'll automatically sync those points over. If at some point there's a technical issue, let me know. I'm not a tech guy. We do have IVC tech support at IVC. What did you say? We have Canvas tech support at IVC. We have McGraw-Hill tech support at McGraw-Hill. And they're open like crazy late hours. I'll call those guys sometimes at like midnight. They pick up. So the student access hours are really helpful under the system. Here's all your points. Like, scroll through it, right? So at the end of this class, here's your total points. When that says, 87% at the end of the class, that's a B. If it says 90.0, that's an A. So if your goal in here is to get an A, I'm giving you a picture here of what you need to get done, right? You'll see the exams, 70 points, right? It's a chunk, all 3 exams. Here, let's go ahead and open up the syllabus. And I want to show you that one page. So if we go to syllabus, here it goes, link, it's PDF. And again, if you want to look at this a little bit more intensely, please go check out that video, talk about all this stuff. Access, you're going to have to be in Canvas. This is a fully online class, right? You're going to have to be in Canvas. Oh, I think that link might have changed now, though. You're going to have to be in McGraw-Hill. Services, we are here to help you. I want to reiterate that. If there's any challenges, please let me know. Late assignments are not accepted. If you like get hospitalized or something, let's talk. Okay. But the vast majority often looks like, oh, I didn't get this done in the last week that you let me do it. So I don't usually, that's a no-go. Here are the points. And again, I want to show you how this plays out. Chapter quizzes, right? You can take them unlimited amounts of times. You get a 5 out of 8 the first time, take it again. Take it again. If you want to get that full A, you want to get those full points, take it until you get all of them right. This comes out to 17% of your grade. Chapter assignments, I call them assignments. This is your reading, the smart book assignments. I'm giving you 70% of your grade is based on reading the book. Again, showing up and getting the work done. Exercises, not every week, but close to it. You have the opportunity again to use some of the knowledge that you're learning from the book, maybe even more so from the lecture, giving it a real life spin and understanding it a little bit in the real life. 10 points each. Discussion boards, again, 3 to 4 sentences. You can see the rubric on Canvas. Your initial posts by Thursday night, 11:59 p.m. 2 responses to another period in class by Sunday night. Okay, worth 5 points, 5 points. 10 points a week on those. So you can see already here, not even talking about the exams yet. The majority of your grade is based on your work that you're doing every week. And that, given that you dedicate your time here, you have control over these points. The exams, of course, is a little bit of unknown there. At the end of the day, though, we all have tests, right? I think these points might be a little off in this math, but gives you an idea. So this is roughly close to percentage. But I want you to focus here. If you're doing exam 1, and let's just say you get a C, you can see here, if you do your work week in and week out, that C on an exam at the end of this class is not going to dictate your grade. Now, if you get a C in exam 1 and exam 2 and exam 3 are all C's, you're probably not going to get an A in the class based on these points, not based on whether or not I like you. All right. So this gives you a little bit of a perspective here. Of course, studying for the exams, prepping for the exams will help you better your grade in here. Absolutely. The exams are not cumulative. So you'll see also in a 1-page kind of format here on the syllabus. This is what our schedule looks like. Chapters 1 through 5. That's our exam 1. Moving forward from chapters 6 through 15. That's our exam 2. I leave those exams open for you for 3-day window. All right, so I'm giving you an opportunity on the exams too. It's not one set day, one set time. It's in this window of 3 days. That gives you time to prepare, or maybe you will have to work, midnight shifts all weekend. So you want to get the test done on Friday morning. It gives you some flexibility there. Just one attempt on the exam. Chapters 17 through 24. So I've also taken these exams and I've broken them up to make them a little bit smaller each, so that each exam in and of itself is less consequential, right? You get that C on that exam 1, you can potentially still earn an A in the class. It's not such a big cut for exam. So that's a little bit about the schedule. a little bit about the grading for the class and the importance of that weekly work that you'll have assigned. Where to find that information, excuse me, in Canvas. Again, I'll just focus you back to the modules tab because that's kind of where everything's organized. Video lectures and your assignments. Video lectures and assignments. I try to be as consistent as possible through this. I have only seen a couple chats come through. Let me go through those real quick. Yeah. There's a question that came up about what are the assignments. So some of this is semantics, right? So the SMART book is basically, again, reading in McGraw-Hill Connect. It's reading through the chapter, except it's also, and I've had students come back and say that they like it. It's kind of an interactive reading, like you're reading, you're answering some questions. Maybe there's a link in there. And so it's a little bit more of an activity versus you reading black on white letters. So in the syllabus, I just referred to assignments, which is, again, I said, I think chapter assignments or book assignments. That's the SMART books, yeah. A little bit different, and again, just semantics, just words that I've chosen over the years. The exercises is more of the doing thing, where you're actually going out online and finding a resource, or you're going online to look up a case to answer a question. And so the exercise is a little bit more of a doing thing. So hopefully that answers the question. But I know you guys were kind of chatting already, so I think you're good. Connection issues. Currently, you'll make sure to watch the recording post. Yeah, I will. With this video that I'm recording right now with you all, I will post it as soon as you can. I did one last night for my real estate classes, and that took a full day to actually get closed captioned. And so by maybe tomorrow night, I'll be able to get this video up, just to give you some real life expectation on that. Perfect. So that's all the questions in the chat. Am I done with you? We're like super early. Let me ask you, are there any other questions? And again, feel free to use the chat. I am recording, so if you unmute, I'll be able to see your name and face, or the recording will show that. It's just for our class, but just so you're aware. If you don't, yes, please.
Are there any extra credit opportunities?
I do not have extra credit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I get a lot of questions asking for extra credit, but here's my perspective on extra credit. Usually people that ask for extra credit, they need it because they didn't do their work to start with. And so it's kind of like, showing up to work and the boss is like, oh, sorry, I've got to let you go. And you're like, oh, but can I get an extra day? It's like, well, you're already not an employee here anymore. Oh, but just give me another hour of work. You know what I mean? It's too late. And so sorry to feel, sometimes it feels a little rough, right? But in all reality, I give you this kind of more open week-to-week schedule to give you a lot of opportunity to get your stuff done. Again, if something comes up and you're hospitalized or something serious is going on, let's have a conversation, right? But I like the idea of, here's the expectation. Here's a lot of flexibility for you. If you're sick a week and you miss an assignment, that's not going to dictate your grade. You've got 14 other assignments to do that are going to make up for those points, right? And so I love the idea that I don't have to hand pick individual students to go, oh yes, I'll give you extra credit. Oh no, I'm not going to give you extra credit. Ugh, I don't like that at all, right? Or I'll have students that say like, hey, can you just give me a couple extra points? And it's like, no, I don't like that. Just like I wouldn't say, oh yeah, I'll take a couple of points away from you. Like, of course I wouldn't do that. Why would I choose to hurt one person? But if I'm giving one person extra points, I'm not giving anybody else extra points. Like, that's not cool either, right? So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I found it easier for me and for my students to go, hey, here's the expectation. This is a result of your work. Obviously I'm here. I want to help you understand. I get to grade all this stuff, right? But I want everybody to have kind of the same opportunities when you're going into this. And so that's why, long and short of it, that's why I don't do extra credit. And knowing, again, I'll have students that'll be stressed out because they missed one assignment 1 week. And it's like, if you're that stressed and you're working that hard to miss no other assignments, like, you're probably going to get the grade you want, right? the grading as you saw it, it's worked out so that that one bad week, that one bad exam is not going to set your grade for the whole semester. We're all human, right? We make mistakes. Now, if you make mistakes the whole semester, you're not gonna get an A, right? Oh, what do you think about the real estate market? Oh man, it's a mess. Are we having Zoom meetings every week? I'll come back to the real estate question. We are not having Zoom meetings every week. This class was on the schedule as asynchronous, which means you are not required to be online or in a classroom at a specific time and day. And that's why I have, as you saw, a bunch of videos, lecture videos. I will, though, occasionally do Zooms. So if you want to chat, you want to talk about a concept, you want to discuss something, we can do that. I also will remind you, I mentioned it before, but I'll show you again on the home page or the syllabus page here. I do have office hours in the semester. Again, this is part of my job to make sure I'm available to you. 11:30 to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm here online on Zoom sitting there. Okay. So if you have questions that come up, hop in during those times. If you're working during those times, notice that there's a lunch hour in there, right? If you're working like a 9 to 5 or something. If these times don't work for you, send me an email. My email's right here. If you've emailed me, and I know I've emailed with several of you already, I reply back pretty dang quickly. You might see an email back. I don't want to promise this, right? I want to set expectations. But you might get an email response from me at midnight or 2 a.m. Because that's just what I do. Being self-employed for so many years, I find myself kind of constantly doing work at some level, right? But that also gives me a lot of opportunity to be flexible with my time. Like I get to help homeschool my kids and go on hikes, every week with them and that kind of thing. So that's real life too, right? Work hard during the week, for most people, a 9 to 5 job or something, and then you got to make sure you're leaving that other time for the interactions that really mean something for you. Again, a long answer. A
You
long
homeschool your kids? You homeschool your kids?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. I was homeschooled.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're 9 and 10 right now.
Awesome.
We started doing it just before the pandemic. So it was a planned thing anyway. But yeah, it was great to be able to I was outside during the pandemic more than I had been in years because we were out hiking and just doing all sorts of stuff outside of teaching. So
That's great.
I homeschooled mine until college,
oh, there
and
you go.
she graduated from UC Davis in 2020. So
Congratulations.
Good job.
It's tough work. Being a parent's tough. If you guys don't have kids yet, those of you on here, kids are hard, but they're amazing.
Agreed.
Especially Debbie, especially homeschooling, because you're with them all the time.
we spent roughly a month and a half out of every year sleeping in our tent someplace.
That's
So
awesome.
it was always
awesome.
outside.
That's great. Love it. Another question popped up, Tristan. How similar are the smart book questions compared to the questions on the exams? Let me rephrase your question. The smart book is more kind of like they're not even like quiz questions, right? But there is a chapter quiz, and so I want to differentiate. Smart book is the reading and the interactive reading. Each chapter has a quiz where you're actually answering questions and it's right or wrong. Okay. The exams, I do pull a lot of questions from the author, but I'm handpicking them. And so I would say that the questions might be similar to the quizzes, but much more focused on the content area. So for example, in the exam, when I go through chapter 4, I'm pulling out specific questions, probably more related to the stuff that I talk about in the lectures versus a blanket random chapter, thing that's asking you about definitions and cases and I'll see a question and I'm like, well, that's kind of confusing. I won't put it in the exam. I'm only asking questions that are like clear and make sense. And then I do write my own quiz or exam questions as well. And so you'll see a question. Again, the content is focused on usually the lecture topics. Again, the more kind of focused topics. And we'll talk about this again as we get closer to the exams. But I'll just kind of reiterate shortly. Exams not meant to be hard. I'm handpicking those questions so that they relate to what we're actually talking about in the class. And for me, it's more of a recap on the chapters. It's not an opportunity to be like, hey, gotcha, you didn't get that one right. And so I realize multiple choice exams aren't ideal all the time, but it's not meant to be difficult for that sake. If you don't study, it's probably going to be hard, right? But if you're watching the lectures, you're doing the work, it's not meant to be difficult. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so those extra Zooms I mentioned that I'll be doing during the semester, not required, because again, this is an asynchronous class. They're meant just to be a resource for you. And again, my office hours or by appointment, by email is going to be the fastest by far. If you have questions along the way, that's what I'm here for. Around how long are the tests? The tests are, I think I usually give about 1.5 minutes as an average per question. So out of 70 questions, what is that, 105 minutes approximately? I almost never have a student come back and say they ran out of time though. And again, you guys are taking these tests at your house, right? I don't have a camera on you watching you. And so my goal for you in these classes is for you to learn, right? But that's where the time comes in, because there's just no way you can look up every question. So it will help you if you're studying these concepts going into the exam. But the more you study, the faster you get through that exam. That gives you a little bit more leeway with that timetable. The Zoom, a last resort type of thing. I don't remember if this was covered, but are the Zoom office hours? The Zoom office hours are a time for me as a teacher to be committed to be available to you. So if I were sitting on campus, I'd literally be sitting in my office from 11:30 to 2, maybe, you know, doing some stuff, but I'm sitting there waiting for anybody that might walk in. That's what this is. So don't think of this, of the office hours as being something that will help you in a sense. Like you don't get points for coming to office hours. But if you need clarity on something, that's what I'm there for. All to just be available to you. I'm just scrolling through the chat here, and I think outside of the how's real estate going right now question. Any other questions that anybody has? If you want to maybe unmute, I think that's all the questions in the chat. We can talk real estate after. Oh, all my office hours right now, the question came up in the chat, in person versus office hours. I actually don't, I am on campus. I have, outside of teaching, I'm in a leadership role at the campus too. And so I do have meetings every week on campus. So I'm around, but all of my office hours are dedicated on Zoom, at least as of right now. I don't really have a preference. If you want to meet in person, I can probably arrange to do that. If you want to come onto Zoom, I'm sitting there waiting for you to come in. If you want to set up a time to talk, that's great too. If it's maybe more private, needs some help. So I don't really have a preference. It's really a matter of helping you with what you need. If you have a question that comes up because you're reading, you know, a chapter, you know, Sunday night, send me an email because I'll be able to reply a lot faster than like waiting till Tuesday when we might be able to talk, right? So it just depends on what you need at that time. It's not really about what I prefer. Anyway, 100% glad to help. Oh, yes. Please call me Dr. Boone. No, I don't care. Call me Rick. Question came up. Do I prefer professor or doctor or Master Boone, master's degree? I don't know what that is. No, yeah, call me Rick is fine. I think that's all of our questions. We have 3 more minutes. So if you have to take off, I am going to go ahead and end recording. But if you have additional questions, we can chat. You're welcome to hang out for a few more minutes. Thank you so much again for being here. And I hope I hope you look back at this semester and you're like, oh, that business law class was the best class I had at IVC. That's what I hope for you in being here. So I hope I can live up to that and do a good job for you.